The war had lasted so long that no one remembered why it began. Across the Orion Arm, fleets clashed in the black between stars. Entire worlds burned as the KRYLL swarm devoured human colonies. Refugees scattered. Empires collapsed. The galaxy itself seemed like it might break. But far from the front lines, on a forgotten mining moon, a single cry of a child pierced through the smoke and fire. And a dragon heard it. One, ash and wings. Varanthos the Red had been called many things. Destroyer, Deathwing, the Living Storm. He was one of the last of the star dragons, creatures born from fusion and flame when suns collapsed, older than most civilizations still standing. He should have been fighting in the Great War. That was what his kind did, soaring into fleets, burning through carriers, scattering enemies like leaves in solar wind. Instead, he was here, standing among the ruins of a mining colony the KRYLL had torn apart. And he was looking at a child. The little girl couldn't have been more than 6. Dust clung to her hair. Her eyes were too wide, too empty, the way children's eyes get when they've seen too much death. She didn't scream at the sight of him. Most did. Instead, she just whispered, hoarse and trembling, "Help, please." Varanthos, who had watched cities fall and stars go dark, felt something crack in the furnace of his chest. 2. The choice. The War Council had given him orders. Rally dragonkind, strike the KRYLL fleets, burn their hives to ash before they consumed the last human bastions. Dragons were weapons. They had no kings, no governments, only duty. But as Varanthos looked at the child clutching a ragged toy to her chest, he knew he would not follow those orders. He lowered his head until his eye, burning like a dying sun, met hers. "I will not leave you," he said, his voice rumbling like collapsing mountains. Her tiny hand touched his snout. "Promise." The word was so small, so fragile. "I promise," Varanthos said. And in that moment, the galaxy shifted, not in politics or fleets or strategies, but in the heart of a single dragon who decided that for once, one life mattered more than any war. 3. The hunt begins. The KRYLL didn't like leaving survivors. Within hours, their hunters returned, sleek, insectoid shapes moving through the ruins with plasma rifles hissing. Varanthos saw them coming. The girl clung to the spines along his neck as he rose to his full, terrible height. His wings unfurled, blotting out the sun. The first hunter raised its weapon. Varanthos breathed. Fusion fire roared like the birth of a star, turning the street into molten glass. Hunters screamed in chittering static as their armor cracked and their bodies burned. The girl buried her face against his scales, trembling, but she didn't let go. When the last KRYLL fell, Varanthos looked at the horizon. More would come. Whole swarms. They would burn this moon to bedrock to kill one dragon and one child. So he ran. Wings like living hurricanes carried them over mountains and dead oceans. Every time the girl cried from the cold wind, he shielded her with one wing, slowing his flight. She was all that mattered now. 4. A human named Cutter. 2 days later, Varanthos landed on the deck of a battered human carrier called the Iron Hope. Its crew panicked, of course. Alarms blared. Marines grabbed rocket launchers. Then they saw the child sliding off the dragon's back, clutching his scales like they were home. And the war hero called Cutter came out to meet them. Cutter had fought KRYLL for 20 years. He'd seen entire cities fall. He didn't scare easy. But even he hesitated at the sight of a dragon bowing low so a little girl could run into human arms. "She lives because of you?" Cutter asked slowly. "Yes," Varanthos said. "She yours?" "She is under my protection," the dragon rumbled. Cutter studied the child clinging to his leg now, Then the giant creature who could have burned their ship to slag but hadn't. Finally, Cutter nodded. Then we keep her safe. Together. 5. The Siege of Blackstar Pass. News spread faster than light across the human fleets. A dragon fights for us now. Some didn't believe it. Others thought it was a trick. But when the KRYLL swarm descended on Blackstar Pass, the last hyperspace gate between the core worlds and the frontier, they found not just human dreadnoughts waiting, but a dragon. Varanthos hit them like a living comet. Fusion fire carved through carriers. His tail smashed gunships from the sky. When boarding craft tried to ram through human lines, he ripped them apart with claws glowing from re-entry heat. And on the Iron Hope, little Mara, because they learned that was her name, watched from the bridge, clutching her ragged toy, whispering, "Come back, please come back," every time Varanthos disappeared into the swarm. He always came back. Because the galaxy could burn, the war could rage forever, but his promise was unbreakable. She would live. 6. The Child and the Dragon. Between battles, when the ship drifted in quiet repair docks, Mara would sit beside Varanthos' enormous head and tell him about her parents, her dog, the doll she lost when the colony burned. Varanthos listened. No one had ever told him stories before. Not kings. Not admirals. Not the War Council, who treated dragons like living weapons. Just a little girl with scuffed shoes and brave eyes. One night she asked softly, "Will you leave when the war is over?" Varanthos considered. "Do you wish me to?" She shook her head fiercely. "You're my dragon." Something in his ancient, furnace-lit heart shifted again. "Yes," he said finally. "Then I am your dragon." 7. The Last Stand. The KRYLL grew desperate. A single dragon was costing them entire fleets, buying humans time to regroup, to strike back. So they threw everything at him. At Vega Rift, the KRYLL sent a dreadnought hive the size of a small moon. Varanthos fought until his wings were shredded, until plasma fire scorched half his scales black. Cutter led boarding teams through burning corridors while human fleets hammered the hive's shields. But it was Varanthos who struck the killing blow, diving through its reactor core in a blaze that lit the system brighter than its own star. The hive died. He barely made it back, wings smoking, landing hard on the Iron Hope's deck. Mara ran to him, tears streaking her face. "You came back. Always," he rumbled weakly. And for the first time in centuries, the war turned. Humans pushed the KRYLL back, system by system, carrying with them the story of the dragon who fought not for empires, but for one child. 8. Epilogue Legends. Years later, when peace finally came, people built statues of Varanthos the Red beside human heroes. But the stories didn't call him conqueror or savior. They called him Mara's dragon. Because in the end, when the universe burned in endless war, he had one duty. And he never failed her.